Welcome everybody to another UniVirtual Experience, this time here in Sansar, in the wonderful world of Sansar. And I'm really excited to hear the perspectives and experiences of this fantastic panel we have here together today. Before we do that, just want to say a few words of thanks to our sponsors and supporters. So, thank you to HP Virtual Reality and Higher Education for being our Infinity sponsors throughout this month of VR events. Also to our Galaxy sponsors, Engage and Avantis Education, and to our Stella sponsors, Grove XR, the VR Lady, Donna McTaggart of Let's Meet in VR, who I'm hoping is here. She's our event manager and director at UniVirtual Experience. Frame VR, Learn Bright, Waking Dream, LBX Immersive, and our team of videographers and volunteers throughout. We're really blessed to have so much support. Thank you very, very much. And with that, I'm going to ask you guys to briefly introduce yourself, and then we're going to see what comes forth from this conversation. So start with you, Todd. Can you say a couple of words about yourself?
Sure. My name is Todd Cowden. I am a creative professional of 30 plus years working for companies such as Microsoft or Lego, National Geographic, Universal Pictures. But the last 7 years, I've been a high school teacher. So I've been taking sort of that previous work knowledge and passing that on to high school students to helping them with problem solving and design thinking and things of that nature. So that I currently work at a school called Village Tech, which is the video that's playing if you all step out on your way out on the screen in the background. And that's pretty much it. I do a lot of world building and AR, VR, AI sort of experimentation.
Fantastic. And in particular, you built this world, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. This is the Imaginasium. This was actually the first world that I built in Sansar, and it was built as a VR classroom. And we've held numerous classes, which is really an outstanding thing because you get people from all over the world, much like we have right here today. Mm-hmm. And it's just like they're meeting in the same place. I guess the only hurdle you really have to overcome is language and time zones.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Next to you, we have Carlos Austin. Want to introduce yourself briefly?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate you guys being here. We love Sansar. Woohoo! So I am an educator, third generation photographer living in Texas with my dear wife and 2 pets. I am a real human. Yay! And I do in-world video. I try all the platforms that I possibly can, probably about 20 of them, and take my skills of television production and still photography and go in and try to capture the best experience for people that can't get into VR and want to see it streamed on any of the platforms such as Twitch, DLive, Facebook, YouTube, blah, 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 blah. But you guys make it happen. I want to shout out over there to Medhugh. Love that man. He's just super creative, talented person. Wally, thank you for all you guys do. And Lacie, thank you. And Zero, of course, Terje for putting up those portals. And Todd, thank you for creating this gorgeous world for us.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, Carlos.
Drop the mic.
And then, mic drop. Thanks. Next to you is Terje. Terje, can you introduce yourself briefly?
Hello, everybody. My name is Terje. My real name is Terje. I work with the international upcoming standards and represent my country international in ISO, International Standard Organization. And also work with Canon Incorporated for future product planning and future product management.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Terje. Over to Zero.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Zero, a.k.a. ZeroCheese. I'm a world designer and content creator. And I'm also currently on our Digital University account because I'm part of the Digital University, which we focus on educating and teaching the community of Sansar how to build and create worlds and assets for use within Sansar and other virtual spaces.
Wonderful. Excellent. And I'll be picking you up on the digital university as well in a bit. And then right at the end, we have Lacie, the one and only.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Lacie. I'm the Sansar community manager. I've been working for Sansar for 3 years, and also was originally actually a user, so I guess 3.5 in total been in Sansar. I manage this wonderful community that we have, super talented and amazing community that's really helpful as well. And I make things, help with events, help with community kind of situations, and I've been in the virtual world space for probably around 15 to 20 years of my life, which is a significant portion of it at this point. So, and prior to this, I am a musician myself, and I actually did teach music in various situations. So that's a little bit of my teaching.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And just briefly introduce myself as well. My name is Daniel Dyboski-Bryant. I'm co-founder of Educators in VR, and we're currently running a month-long conference of events on 19 different virtual platforms in partnership with the Virtual World Society and Dr. Tom Furness. So it's my great honor to be speaking with you here today. And just a little bit of context for the title of the talk. When we were leading up to this event, I approached Zero and Lacie, and they kindly gave me their time, show me around, and we were thinking about, well, we had a showcase of different different spaces that might be used for educational context, which was fantastic. We did some world hopping, which was a great event. But it struck me also that the fidelity of this place it stands out immediately to me. For a person who does events in Altspace and Engage and many different other platforms, there's something aesthetically pleasing about this event. So the other reason I chose this title, which is High-End Events in VR, is because my friend Carlos here, we met in February of 2020. He stepped up and helped us immensely capture footage and kind of jump-started a whole bunch of filming in VR as a result of it. You actually introduced me to Sansar at the time with Mad Paddy and the World Music Festival things you were doing there, which is cool. And I saw some footage and some experiences of avatars dancing in unison to a live DJ. And there was something about that really, really stuck with me. And many of the events we're doing is the UniVirtual Experience at the moment. We've chosen to do them in Altspace. That's where we kind of traditionally have set up camp. But I'm very, very passionate about exploring all of the platforms and all of the affordances and relative strengths of the different platforms. And so coming to Sansar, I'm excited about the kind of events I'm hearing about, how music and DJ events are happening here. So I really wanted to discuss how this platform is used for events and how it sets itself apart from maybe some platforms like Altspace or VR Chat and so on. So think I'm going to start with, let's see, we'll start with Lacie. You're the community manager. What kind of spectrum of events do you see your community members putting on here?
Oh my gosh, there are so many actually. There are a lot of music events, but it's absolutely not limited to that. I've seen anything from festivals to people all coming together to play a game. People actually having their high school graduation. That actually happened in Sansar. Trade shows with different companies. I mean, honestly, there's really not any sort of thing you can't do in terms of an event. An event's just bringing people together, and you can do that in Sansar.
Fantastic. Okay. And can you think of any ones that stand out for you, either in terms of scale or uniqueness or something high-end about it?
Oh, man. I'd have to say that one of the ones that comes to mind was actually the Lost Horizon Festival from Glastonbury this past summer. It was really big. Not our biggest, but still really big, I believe.
Yeah.
And, we made international headlines, and people were coming in from all over and having a virtual rave just like they were all there together in the real world. So, that's something that, especially with all these virtual events in the pandemic, that, people have Zoom fatigue, but people in here were literally dancing and having fun and reliving those days, that you could go out and not worry about germs. So it's really rewarding personally to be able to see people enjoying these things so much. It brings me happiness that I can, help facilitate all you guys' wonderful events.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll come then to Carlos, because I know that we've worked together on a couple of events, and you've gone on to become one of the most well-known VR filmers in the industry. What attracts you to Sansar?
Daniel, flattery will get you everywhere. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Say it like it is. Say it like it is.
Very kind. Well, Sansar, another shout out to Medhu, Full Spectrum, Bagnadia, which is the other co-creator. We use Club Raw to have this concert that you mentioned. That's a global music festival. And the amount of detail, the beautiful, the shades, everything is just such a beautiful experience to be in here. If you come in VR, it's fantastic. If you're on desktop, it also works very well. And it's just a top world class metaverse. It's one of my favorites of all the ones that I know.
I was going to ask you, I didn't want to put you on the spot in front of Lacie and Zero, because I know that you represent Sansar, but you said it yourself. This is one of your favorites. What is it about Sansar that puts it high up on your list?
Well, the community is very tight. There's a lot of creativity. People are always trying to do beautiful work. I mean, you just look at all the avatars out there that are so unique and special. And hear what Todd has created. I mean, you can read the text on the walls and everything. And it's just such... I don't have words for it. If I were a novelist or a poet or something, then I could come up with some really good stuff. But I'm in my happy place when I'm here.
That's fantastic. Looking out across the avatars, I absolutely concur with you that this is probably my favorite place for avatars, certainly. I haven't spent very much time here yet, but I got from all of the interactions with Lacie and with Terje and Zero that the community is tight. How important is the community, do you think, and I'll ask Todd here, how important is the community to you as a creator who's built worlds like this in Sansar?
Well, it's incredibly important. And, basically Sansar from the beginning seemed to be designed for creators. Instead of going with a micropayment model where you would go in and maybe you would purchase assets strictly from the company, they allowed you to not only import your own assets, but they actually built a world builder into the engine itself.
Yes.
From a community standpoint, of course, you have to be able to learn how to use those tools. Sure. And yes, like Carlos said, the community here, like even from the very beginning, has always been very open and very eager to help out and assist, whether that is from allowing, posting assets, models, scripts to the store, even for free, bypassing any sort of a, money-making opportunity in order to basically allow people to help build bigger worlds. Or they've also been very welcoming toward simply, hey, Medhu, show me how do you do this thing. He's like, yeah, not a big deal, not a big problem. And then it's a very tight, like you said, it's a very tight-knit, helpful community of creators. And I think that's what drew me to it. I've checked out like ScienceSpace. I have not gotten into AltSpace yet, but I've checked out ScienceSpace and a few others. And This one seems to be more centered around creators, and that's sort of like my entire life is creativity. So I think this one would be considered like my home sort of thing for that reason.
Interesting. Okay. Now, I understand it's built for creators, which is really important because putting powerful tools in the hands of creative people, you stand back and watch what they come up with. It's amazing on all platforms across the universe, the metaverse, I want to say. But if I understand correctly, many of the community members also make their builds and their worlds available to people to use. If you ask them, they might let you use their world for events. Is that correct, Terje?
Yes, that is correct. And I have a few world builds myself that I use for events, and also team up with others in the community to hold events. So that is absolutely correct.
And if somebody approached you and the event that they wanted to put on was okay for you, would you either let them have your world or work with them?
Certainly, absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. Then Zero, thanks again for that. The showcase event you did with Lacie a few weeks ago. That was
not a problem.
Still sticks in
You're
my
welcome.
mind. I can still clearly see the Taj Mahal world.
That was an incredible one.
Yeah, and that's actually a great example for me. I try to see as many different platforms as I can. And the first time and the second time and the third time I went into that event space, it took my breath away. The scale of it, the quality of experience in there. For me, that lends itself to events. And in particular, like the title of this panel is high-end events. How important is the quality of the visual experience to high-end events? Can you have high-end events, for example, at the moment on WebXR? WebXR, I love it. It's amazing, but it doesn't have the power of PC VR driven Sansar or something like that. How important is your environment to giving you that feeling of a high-end event? What do you think, Zero?
Well, I think visuals are really what got me here into Sansar. This is one of the most unique engines, unique worlds, virtual worlds when it comes to visuals. And there's so much that we can do as content creators to not only make the space interactive, but visually appealing as well. And I think that's what is able to capture and hold people's attention a lot more.
Yeah,
within your events, because it gives them something different to look at than you would get in some of the other spaces. So, and then with the real-time lighting and stuff, I mean, that just all adds to it.
Okay. I'm going to come back to Carlos. You take part in some spectacular events with great music. And then you go about filming it for a 2D audience. I think you stream it live to YouTube and Twitch and maybe other channels. What's your thinking behind that? Why do you want people outside of these immersive worlds to see what's happening inside the immersive worlds?
To encourage them to come here and check it out. I mean, this is just such an amazing environment to be in, and we're just waiting for that iPhone moment, where it just propagates and everybody is in virtual reality. And we're all, I mean, you're educators in VR. You guys have brought on so many people into understanding what all the possibilities are with virtual reality, from education to medical, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So it's the idea of feeling something passionately and wanting to share it with others. Does everybody here share that intention of wanting to allow more people to experience what we're experiencing, Todd? Is that part of your thinking here? Or are you happy just to build for the people who are already here?
No, I think that's definitely a part of it. For me, as a creator, that's a big part of it. For me as a teacher, I think it comes down into different sections. So I think reading a sci-fi book or history. So reading about history it comes from a book, and so that's sort of your standard normal way of going through sort of an education process. And pretend that it was history about let's name a historic, the Alamo. Okay, the Alamo. So you're reading about the Alamo, and that's one thing. And maybe in classes, maybe you'll catch some videos on YouTube or something. But to allow that, the second step, the second phase would be to allow the students to actually enter that virtual world, that completely immersive world, and visit the Alamo, not as it is today, without the big old surrounding, barrier walls, but as it was back then.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the second model, the second mode. And while you can have like elementary or middle school kids experience that and see what life was like back then, the third version, I think, the third level of education would be to actually have the students create the model themselves.
Yes.
Possibly high school students could do that. Middle school students could do that clearly with Sansar, with the built-in world builder, and then have other students, experience that second level of interactivity. So it's not simply about the immersiveness. That is a part of it, but it also includes the ability to have the students go through and build themselves. I mean, like you say, you pointed out the light bulbs up above. You can't do that in reality. You can't just float a bunch of light bulbs up there. This is not Hogwarts. But in virtual reality, you can sort of, bend laws of physics and reality to whatever your imagination wants to do. To have students do that and to see the things that they come up with would be, I think, just next level educational experience.
Okay. All right. Question for all of you, and just raise your hand or speak up as you see fit. I imagine that for many of you, this is kind of your virtual home base, that Sansar is kind of the starting point, and that you occasionally visit other VR platforms and so on. Are there any other platforms that attract you? And if so, why? What is it about those other platforms that takes you there? Anyone got some comments?
Well, I'll take it. I actually go to about 10 different platforms on a regular basis. And I find they all have different tools to do recordings with, the different types of cameras. And like here, there's one of my favorite cameras because you can actually be invisible and be flying around and be able to capture without being disruptive. Yes. And I try different platforms, see what kind of tools they have, and then try to make the best of it.
Right. Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts on other platforms and maybe some features that you appreciate there?
Well, I teach at a public school, and we are pre-K through 12th grade. Now, I only teach high school. But especially in this COVID world where we had to deal with a lot of students that were not at school, they were at home, and they did not have access to the computer lab that we have. They only had the Chromebook that we gave them, let them borrow. Yeah. So on a totally different scale, on a lower fidelity scale, but much more accessible, is something like CoSpaces, which is like a drag and drop sort of a AR VR builder. It also has a built-in world editor as well, but it's a much simpler interface. But still, even that interface. I mean, if you think about Legos for a second, you don't have to necessarily give a student the most high, a resin printer in order for them to build a building. They can build a building with popsicle sticks or Legos or whatever. Yeah. So yes, the building blocks are much more primitive, and the fidelity and the beauty is not there. But I guess from a certain standpoint, the accessibility of it all being web-based, runnable on a Chromebook, in a web browser, does have advantages when you're dealing with students that are home, and that's the only tool they have.
Right. Yeah. Fair point. There's Here's another question, or kind of a area that I'm really curious about. We were talking about how the community is really important, and you mentioned about the fact that the ethos was kind of pitching towards creators. But for the VR industry to survive, and for the creators to survive in the long term, we do need to consider business models and marketplaces and these kind of things. And so my question is, on platforms like Sansar, are there any business models emerging with regards maybe to assets and worlds, but also with regards to events? I know sometimes events and camera teams are paid for their services, so that's one example. Are there any other examples where Sansar enables creators and event hosts to kind of sustain themselves?
Yeah, we have a couple of different ways that that's possible. We work semi, I guess our partner program. And, we help them put together, paid tickets and all that sorts of thing. So if you want to call that business, then I would definitely agree. But the bigger thing that I think we're focused on is actually kind of as to what Todd was saying, the accessibility of Sansar. So, a lot of people don't have a high-end gaming PC. And we've already launched our mobile app, but we're working on getting it so that you can actually be there with the phone. Really? Most everybody has a phone. Yeah, it's a work in progress. We mentioned it at one of our last meetups, but we're just trying to get Sansar more accessible because it's absolutely lovely. I love all the creators, and it's very heavily creator face. But you want to have all the people that can come enjoy those creations as well. And if it's the technology limiting it, then let's make that a little easier.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Okay, it's interesting. While VR continues to be so, PC VR is obviously the highest quality of experience. Over the last few years, the work that is going into helping non-PC VR devices join, or non-PC devices join, is remarkable and commendable. At the same time, is there a risk that kind of level of quality experience is getting lost by opening it up to these devices? I understand the argument for democratization and access, not a question, and I embrace that. But are we losing something of that premium experience by kind of reaching back to these other smaller devices?
No, not with the way we've played. Oh, so go ahead.
Okay. No, go on.
Yeah, not with the way that we've planned out, or at least from what I understand of how we planned out our mobile. I mean, the only thing I guess you could say is not as great is, people that are on mobile won't be able to be in VR. At least I don't think. Please don't quote me on this in like a year.
They won't be immersed like we are here in VR.
Right.
I'll be looking
but
at
it's very similar to the desktop mode, so I guess so, but not really. I mean, if anything, it's the first taste of Sansar, and they're going to want more.
Yeah, okay.
If we can use existing games as a model of history, a number of years ago, two MMOs were, I guess one had dominance, and the other one was coming out, was going to be brand new. And the first one was EverQuest, and they were working on EverQuest 2, and they worked on it to be this high fidelity, super high end at the time application. When Blizzard was developing World of Warcraft, they could have gone that way. They could have said, hey, let's do super realistic, MMOs. Instead, they opted to go for sort of mass saturation. So they've set their spec requirements, their target spec requirements very low, and which is what resulted as a result in the art style that World of Warcraft came out with. And as everybody knows, World of Warcraft has been much more successful in reaching that saturation and having a much higher number of viewers. I think it's any technology. I mean, I think the technology will eventually catch up to where we are now, where everybody will have a world like this. And at that point in time, who knows? Sansar could be on the next level of whatever that fidelity is. But I think from a business model standpoint, you have to reach a certain saturation level of consumers, because while Sansar is built for creators, if creators don't have consumers, that sort of breaks down from a business standpoint.
Right. Okay, and that really brings us to the point where Sansar, in regards to what you just said, Sansar is then competing with Altspace, with VR Chat, with several other platforms that are trying to provide something very similar. Is anybody in favor for making this platform and other platforms like intermesh, where you can jump straight from one to the other, like connecting the platforms? I know, Carlos, you're lifting your hands there. I think there was a point at which, for example, from Somnium Space, you could go straight into high fidelity, or was it Sansar? I forget which. Like you could move between the platforms more freely. Is anybody other than, Carlos, why are you in favor of that, maybe?
Well, I heard Stanford had a conference last week, and Kathy Hackle, is that the way you pronounce her last name?
Yep.
She was talking about working for the military, where they have 1 million avatars or people in the same space, which is pretty extraordinary. And then there's another group, Active Theory, that created this very minimal world where they put it out on social media, and they had 200,000 people inside of that world.
200,000 people, wow.
So the thing is that I think the word I heard is walled garden, or garden walled or something. It's all these platforms is that they all have their own, it's like a country in itself that you need a passport to get into the country and so forth and so on. For me, I think eventually it's going to be where we can just go to one world and everybody can get in there and partake in the communication and be part of that world, the same as we are here in our real life.
Okay.
Before we were able to do that.
Sorry, go on, Todd.
I was going to say, before we were able to do that, wouldn't it require some sort of standardization? Like on the web, they have the W3C, which is, they set up the standards of HTML and CSS and things of that nature. Surely, from a technological standpoint, we would have to have some sort of standards in place. I mean, and all for it. It'd be super awesome. But we can't get there until that other stepping stone is set up.
I had a conversation with the guy who runs Somnium Space, a guy called Artur Sichov. I think he's a Czech guy, lovely guy. And he's all for being open. So anybody who wants to link to Somnium Space and back, go talk to Artur. He's all up for that. But you're right. It needs people kind of opting into that openness. Zero or Lacie? Yeah, Zero?
I was just going to add into that, like Mel Burns is saying, there needs to be a standard protocol for any of that to happen right now. Because, knowing how, the different worlds work, Sansar is its own engine, and there's worlds, metaverses built on Unity and Unreal Engine, so there's that big difference when it comes to the back end at this point in time to being able to do something like that. But one of the things that I wanted to point out about Sansar that's pretty cool is as long as you have your OBJ or FBX formats when it comes to being a creator in Sansar, you're able to import those directly into Sansar. So, if you have a build that you created with Unreal Engine or Unity, you can export those as an FBX or OBJ, and then you can just import it right into Sansar. So, it's not giving you that exact hopping from world to world kind of thing. When it comes to creating for Sansar, you're able to still work with your same models that you created for other platforms as well.
And if for example, a group of platform owners or leaders approached you and said, "Listen, we wanna be open so that your avatar can stand in VR chat or a VR chat avatar can make it into Somnium space or alt space. How would you react to that? Would you be open to that, or does that not work in some way? Maybe Lacie.
I mean, in terms of like assets and stuff, a lot of people will make assets on another platform and bring it in here, like they said. I don't think it's out of the question. It would have to be obviously passed by our business team and all that, but we've considered some stuff like that. Okay. And I do think it's cool to be able to get people from different platforms, especially, kind of the folks that are watching us on Twitch. A lot of them end up actually coming in from that. So, that, and the other thing is that, Sansar, with that whole custom mesh ability, importation ability, you don't need to know all of this other external building tools. It kind of makes it so that anybody can really be a creator. If you've played The Sims, you're basically set. It's like drag and drop. So it also kind of makes the entry to the metaverse a lot easier, especially for, if you want to make your own space.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Now, Zero, I want to pick you up on your digital university. To me, that sounds like you're making a play in the education space. Is that correct? And can you tell us a little bit about it?
In a way. So myself and several others kind of teamed up, and we created what's called the Digital University here in Sansar. And the primary objective, I guess, so to say, for that is to help newcomers coming into the virtual world learn what's possible within Sansar and how to do it. So we've had different instructors doing different classes from things such as world building, teaching people how to build mesh objects, using Blender, and we've even had people come in to help with event management and structuring events using like third-party applications, so you can manage polls and do different things on that aspect, as well as even social media. We've had somebody come in and teach how to do like basically brand marketing for yourself, and that's all kind of the topics that we utilize within Digital University. But we also have we have a setup here in Sansar at the main world that is called the video library. And that's so when there's no classes currently going on, guests can go through there and watch videos that are all categorized that have been created by different creators within Sansar. So that way they don't have to try to search on YouTube and find it all. And this way it's all in one place, and you're getting exactly what you're looking for, depending on what category you want, whether marvelous design or world building, even simple stuff like UI navigation. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's interesting. So is it primarily helping people understand the Sansar engine and functionalities better, but then also with so it sounded to me like you were using Sansar as a tool for general education, but it's the way you've described it now is a bit of a kind of a Sansar academy or a Sansar support training. Is that?
I mean, in a way, it's primarily focused. It is primarily focused on Sansar. But what you learn within it, you can expand out beyond Sansar. I said, social media marketing, branding, and asset design. That can all be done for any engine or anything outside of Sansar. I'd like to at some point even have maybe Unreal Engine courses going on there. It could be anything. But
fair enough.
But the primary focus is Sansar.
Okay, all right. Maybe Terje, you can answer this next question. I know that with platforms like Engage, they're specifically business oriented or they're enterprise oriented. Altspace not so much, but you're still getting universities and organizations and schools kind of starting to use that Altspace or Frame VR or hubs to teach. Are we seeing any schools or enterprises approaching Sansar with any particular kind of use cases?
If I look on it in that type of eyes, I would like to point out something with Sansar that I have not seen actually any other place on any other platform. And that is how both VR, desktop mode, and text chat is integrated here. You can use both text chat and desktop mode at the same time, and you can also switch very easily between a perfect desktop mode and VR also very easily. So all those type of aspects open up a lot of possibilities from a business point of view, for example, in CAD/CAM construction, and also in medical aspect. And especially from that point of view, the graphic quality is extremely important. And in that way, Sansar have an unmatched graphic quality.
Okay. And so is that partly because it's running on your own engine? Does that, the fact that you're running on your own engine, allow for other things that are unique? Maybe Todd?
Oh, totally.
Oh, sorry, Lacie, go ahead.
I was just going to say, totally. We control the engine. So, unlike other platforms that use, any of the main two engines, popular engines, if, they go down or if they have an outage, we don't have that. We control when we have that kind of thing for the most part. So that's a really good thing to have and to be able to add into your own engine, like new features that, might not be possible on other sorts of engines. So it really does allow for complex and really, really intense, awesome graphics, and particularly the lighting system here. The whole custom lighting system here is beautiful.
Gotta love the light. Yeah, you're right.
And if something, from having your own back end, your own engine, if there's something on the back end that you want to have implemented, having control over that engine allows you to be able to do that. Granted, as long as you have the people that are able to get that done, versus needing to rely on somebody else's back end to implement something that may not exist yet.
Yeah. Fantastic. I want to open it up to the audience a little bit and see if anyone has any comments. I have some questions for the audience. So can people unmute themselves? They can handle their own kind of microphones. Is that how it works, Lacie? Zero?
They can unmute when they want to speak.
Yeah, they can. And then there's also some chat going on in the nearby chat as well, which I usually just put in VR above my head.
Okay, I'm new to this platform a little bit. So the nearby, here we go. Cool. So, all right, I got that there. Wonderful. So, well, we're going to open it up. I'm making an assumption, but I have the feeling that many of you have been to Sansar before. Maybe this is your preferred platform. I'd love to hear from you what your experiences of this platform are and why you choose this platform over other platforms. Anyone want to...
Bottom right, left, you can toggle your microphone, by the way. This is Mal. I do. I think it's visual fidelity at the end of the day. I mean, having been around all sorts of platforms, I mean, I broadcast a weekly news program from here now, for example.
Yeah.
It's just a news desk, but, in a screen share, but it has that fidelity that you don't really get anywhere else. And, of course, the avatars are pretty top quality as well.
The avatars are absolutely phenomenal. I remember when Lacie and Zero were showing me around in April. We were in a particular location. I turned around and there was a little Pokemon there. And it cracked me up, looked like a little soft toy. But it was actually Pokemon, and Pokemon came up, kicked me in the leg, and ran off. I will never forget that. It was hilarious.
Charming,
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, anyone else got some comments to share as to why this is an attractive or preferred platform? Don't feel you need to if you don't want to share.
I got something else that I could add for that.
Please,
on that aspect. Another thing that really stands out to me here on this platform, and I know it's pretty rare to see in other virtual spaces. I only know of one other world that does it, is where we have the internal store. So content creators are able to sell stuff to general users. So so that way, somebody that may not have that building experience can just go in and purchase something. And what really, something that really catches my attention on that too is the way that we can add other people's creations that we've purchased from the store to our own. So, for example, if I make a house and you make the furniture, that's kind of been mentioned before, where I can then put your furniture inside of my house, and then I can sell it all bundled together. And because it's your furniture that's being sold here on the Sansar store, when somebody buys my house that's pre-furnished, you're getting paid for that furniture being in that house. And then, so that way it automatically gets split up, and you get you get commissioned, and then I get commissioned. Anybody else's stuff that's in that, it all gets. So
you become quite invested in that.
The funds kind of branch off, and that way it makes for really good partnership capabilities. So you can partner up with other content creators, and once somebody makes a purchase, it's all done automatically. So that way you don't have to play with the finances and stuff. So that's just something that really stands out to me.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm just reading the nearby chat. Teal says it's friendly here. That's fantastic. Sounds like more of the feeling of the community being important. X and J says 10 out of 10 platform, better graphics and more mature platform. For now, and you can make 20 free worlds, and you can edit your avatar so much. So that's creativity, customizability, flexibility. That's fantastic. Okay. Put your comments in the chat if you want. I'll come to them one by one.
I just had another comment actually that I don't know whether Lacie actually addressed when you asked the question. You asked about monetization and things, and something that is actually quite impressive is, for example, musical events that happen here. You can go onto the website, and Lacie told me some time ago that the Wookiee actually can facilitate this anyway. And you can buy a ticket, for real money. And then you get your permission to log in and attend, just like something like this is paying to get in. And as far as I can tell, none of the other virtual worlds around, I mean, some do cost money for conferences and things, but the casual worlds, I don't think any of them really have that. I mean, Second Life, for example, never figured out a way to monetize their events, so the people putting on the event really make money. All you get is a tip jar for the musician, and that's not quite an income, I think I think that's something Sansar has actually done. It's different. It's different. As I say, I can't think of another world.
I know that some platforms do have events where you can buy tickets, but I'm not sure that is integrated. Is this integrated, this ticketing feature, Zero and Lacie?
What do you mean by integrated?
The tickets, are you buying that directly via Sansar or via Eventbrite?
You're definitely buying it directly from us.
It's integrated directly into Sansar. Just like we also have the tipping system as well for the event hosts as well. That goes kind of hand in hand with that. So you have a simple button you can press and send tips to the performers. You can purchase
I'd love to see that
join the events.
more widely adopted.
All that's built right into Sansar.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. All right. Well, any closing thoughts or comments about? Here's a question. What would you really like to see in Sansar? What would you really like to see in Sansar maybe in the next year?
I'll go.
More people.
Carlos?
That's what I was going to say is more people.
More people.
That's why I try to push Sansar as much as I can on social media to bring awareness and let them know. I mean, it's free. You can download it on your machine and do it on desktop. It's a pretty good experience on desktop. I enjoy it myself, and just to give a taste of it and get to know the community and stuff like that, and then go out and maybe buy a PC VR or it's just fabulous.
Okay, Terje, what would you like to
more
see?
People would be good.
Yeah, so you said more people. Terje, anything different?
Except more people, of course. I want to point out something that actually already is in Sansar. And that is a really very nice utility because the client side, it looks on what type of equipment and hardware you actually have and adapt to it and extract all it can from the hardware each single person have. So if you have a really powerful computer, you get the maximum of that one. If you have a medium-sized, you get the max of that, and so on. Okay. So that is something is extremely useful because the end user, no matter what type of hardware each individual have, you will get the best of it without actually doing anything.
Excellent. That does sound clever. Okay. Todd, how about you?
Does that apply to bandwidth? Sorry, does that apply to bandwidth too? So it just automatically adjusts bandwidth and visual fidelity depending on your system?
To a certain amount, it can do that. But I'm mostly thinking about the hardware each person actually have.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Todd, how about you? Anything that you'd like to see come to Sansar or more of?
Well, I will third or fourth or fifth or whatever we're up to the more people standpoint for sure. And I think part of that comes down to what people, when I talk about VR Sansar and they know that it's a VR platform, they automatically assume that they have to have a headset. And Sansar has an amazing desktop client so that you don't have to, like right now I'm running on the desktop client without the VR headset. So I think that would help get more people in. But I would love to see, I know Sansar is centered around events and this topic is centered around events. I would love to see more of a reach into, and you started asking about it with the education and the digital university, a reach more into the educational market. Because with Sansar having this, like Lacie mentioned, it's no more complex than The Sims. And an in-engine world builder like The Sims combined with a built-in store system where a lot of assets are in fact free. I think to get Sansar more widely used in classrooms would be a great thing for the future, for Sansar, just overall.
Sounds like it might be an idea for educators in VR to find out when one of your digital university kind of 101 Sansar classes is taking place. Would you let us know when that is? And then we'll see if we can get some of our folks attending one of the more introductory level Sansar, maybe the world building or some examples.
Yeah, absolutely, I can. And another thing that I was going to add on to that too, with features, outside of more people, it would be nice. Bring your friends, everybody. That was one thing that we were actually doing with the digital university at one point is it was kind of a thing going on that every time that you come in, you should always bring 2 or 3 of your friends that aren't in Sansar and bring them in with you. And then they bring in 2 or 3 of their friends, kind of like a word of mouth thing. But one other feature that I would like to see that I know has been talked about as a on the roadmap kind of feature would be collaborative world building.
That would be cool. That sounds amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, well, please, Lacie and Zero, let us know when the Digital University events are running. Maybe you can give me a shout out or post it on our Discord or something like that. Because I'm curious about learning what's involved in world building and asset management kind of here from an educational standpoint. So I'll try and join some of your events. And with that, go on, Lacie, please.
in terms of what I want to see in Sansar, the more people kind of thing, I totally agree on that. And also a lot of the features mentioned, I really do want to see. But I did want to mention that we have a very, very big announcement coming next week. So please keep it posted on our socials. Very big and very exciting. So
fantastic.
Keep an eye out.
Okay, I'm going to jump the gun and say it's something to do with standalone headsets, but I might be completely wrong and you probably can't say anything. There you go.
Daniel?
Carlos, looks like you're raising your head. Yeah?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, are we broadcasting on Twitch, Lacie?
No, not right now.
Oh, okay.
Not to my knowledge, at least.
Yeah. I was just going to say that ZeroCheese and Terje and Loki have a show. It's 11 o'clock Pacific time and 2 o'clock Eastern, world hopping. So any of you guys, if you really want to get a treat and hang out with the community, the World Explorers, it's a great thing to come by and hang out with people and get to know them and see some amazing worlds. It's one of the best ways to get introduced to Sansar.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and that is definitely something that we focus a lot on, the creators of Sansar, and as well as, new creators of Sansar, old creators of Sansar, just anybody that's creating worlds. We try to visit every new world that has been created that past week.
Really?
We try to stuff it all into 1 hour and hop world to world, and it's very entertaining. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your presence here in Sansar. Todd, thank you for making this world available for us, this beautiful world. Carlos, good to see you. I've missed you at the UniVirtual Experience, but I know you've been around. Terje, thank you. Zero, thank you. Lacie, thank you. I want to see more of you guys. Please give it up for our guests, our panelists. Fantastic. And also, just to say, we're on day 28 of the UniVirtual Experience. We've got Saturday and Sunday still to go. I know what I'm doing on Sunday evening. I'm going to sleep for a week. It's been a long month, but it's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, just getting to know so many people, so many platforms, so many creative world builders and projects going on. So thank you for today.
Daniel?
Thank you for being a wonderful host.
Do you want to tell people about the Engage party that you guys are having as a closing? Yeah.
Completely forgot. Okay. 2 things. Thank you, Carlos. First of all, we have 2 closing ceremonies, one in Engage, tomorrow, Saturday 29th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. UK. We'll have a closing ceremony. We're going to be raffling 2 HP Reverb G2 headsets, so you can win live some HP Reverb headsets. Don't miss that opportunity. Followed straight away by a Fuzzy Brick party in Engage. And Fuzzy Brick, they put on some amazing interactive parties, so feel free to join us there. And on Sunday, May 30th, at 12 noon Pacific, 8 p.m. UK time, we're having the official AltSpace closing ceremony, which is about an hour-long event in AltSpace. And finally, we're also raffling another 6 HP Reverb G2 headsets on Discord. So head to our Discord or website there to find out details of how you can join and win one of 8 HP Reverb G2 headsets from our Infinity sponsor, HP.
I'm gonna have to get
Carlos,
in on
thank
that.
you for reminding me. Say again?
That's what I think. I'm going to have to get in on that.
Exactly, right. What do you got to lose, right? Bit of VR and the chance of winning something. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Our Discord is Educators in VR. The website is www.educatorsinvr.com. Please visit us there. There'll be emails on and social media posts as well. Keep a lookout. Thank you so much, everyone. And enjoy the rest of your time zone, wherever you may find yourself. Thank you so much. I'll be back very soon to Sansar for more.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Todd. Lacie, Zero. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to drop a portal in the back to a really interesting world that I
Yes.
think would be a good closer for everybody that wants
Let's
to
do
just
it.
see a good example of what's possible within Sansar and how
Let's
to
do
make
it.
your spaces interactive
Yes.
and utilize the visuals at the same time. So if anybody
Let's
wants
do
to
it.
go on a little trip, I'm going to drop a portal in the back of the room.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello,
Thank you guys
Fran
very
and
much.
Fran and Evo. Good afternoon. Matthew, as I already said hello to, and anybody
The
else.
most amazing avatars you guys have got.
Hey, thank you, Wally.
There you go.
Boom.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to see a perfect example of scripting in action within Sansar, we got a really cool interactive game here in Sansar created by Loki Elliott. Thank you for coming, guys.